Hello and welcome. We're live. It's Thursday, 2014. That's November 13th. Why is it Thursday and you're hearing my voice? This is Derek J. of DerekJ.me and PeaceNewsNow.com. Well, it's because Cody O'Connor and I did a little switcheroo. And if you're listening at LRN.FM, the Liberty Radio Network, well, you're going to be hearing my voice every Thursday now. I've switched days, so I'm no longer broadcasting Peace News on Sunday evenings. That frees up some time to do a little thing in Keene called Social Sundays, where a few of us gather at a bar and socialize. I want that free time back, and it's been since the beginning that Peace News is broadcast on Sundays. I haven't even switched over the advertising material or the banners on the front page. Bad boy, but I will fix all that stuff. Anyway, it's good to be with you, and it's good to have a nighttime show. It's now I get to say it's Tuesday and Thursdays, 10 to midnight Eastern. Easy. So catch Peace News every Tuesday and Thursday at LRN.FM, 10 to midnight Eastern. Let's roll right into it. You know, I was sick on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I was ready to broadcast, had all my show prep ready. It was like the day after Veterans Day. And I was all ready to really knock it to them with the Lou Rockwell articles and the antiwar.com. And whoa, I got so nauseous. I just couldn't do the show. I had to pull out like a couple of minutes ahead of time. So I've got that material for you this special Thursday edition, and I want to get into it. It's worth it, even though not Veterans Day anymore. Let's talk about the veterans. Let's talk about the war and how we can achieve peace in our lifetimes. Reading first from GilmerMirror.com. Reclaim Armistice Day and honor the real heroes. Honestly, this is something I had never heard about. What's Armistice Day? Well, more than a few veterans for peace among them, are troubled by the way Americans observe Veterans Day on November 11th. It was originally called Armistice Day and established by Congress in 1926 to, quote, perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations, and later a day dedicated to cause world peace. For years, many churches rang their bells on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the time that the guns fell silent on the Western Front, by which time 16 million had died. To put it bluntly, in 1954, Armistice Day was hijacked by a militaristic Congress, and today, few Americans understand the original purpose of the occasion or even remember it. The message of peace-seeking has vanished. Now known as Veterans Day, it has devolved into a hyper-nationalistic worship ceremony for war and the putative, valiant warriors who wage it. Here's a news flash. Most of what goes on during wartime is decidedly unheroic, and heroes of war are few and far between. I have to tell you that when I was in Vietnam, and this is written by Arnold Oliver at GilmerMirror.com, he says, I have to tell you that when I was in Vietnam, I was no hero, and I didn't witness any heroism during the year I spent there, first as a U.S. Army private and then as a sergeant. Yes, there was heroism in the Vietnam War. On both sides of the conflict, there were notable acts of self-sacrifice and bravery. Troops in my unit wondered how the North Vietnamese troops could persevere for years in the face of daunting U.S. firepower. U.S. Medical Corps performed incredible acts of valor, rescuing the wounded under fire. But I also witnessed a considerable amount of bad behavior, some of it my own. There were widespread incidents of disrespect and abuse of Vietnamese civilians, including many war crimes. Further, all units had and still have their share of criminals, con artists, and thugs. Most unheroic of all were the U.S. military and civilian leaders who planned, orchestrated, and profited greatly from that utterly avoidable war. The cold truth is that the U.S. invasion and occupation of Vietnam had nothing to do with protecting American peace and freedom. On the contrary, The Vietnam War bitterly divided the United States and was fought to forestall Vietnamese independence, not defend it. Unfortunately, Vietnam wasn't an isolated example. Many American wars, including the 1846 Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War in 1898, and the Iraq War, this list is by no means exhaustive, were waged under false pretexts against countries that didn't threaten the United States. It's hard to see how, if war is just, it can be heroic to wage it. Oh, excuse me. It's hard to see how, if a war is unjust, it can be heroic to wage it. But if the vast majority of wars are not fought for noble reasons and few soldiers are heroic, have there been any actual heroes out there defending peace and freedom? And if so, who are they? Well, there are many. From Jesus down to the present, I'd put Gandhi, Tolstoy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on the list as many other. General Smedley Butler, who wrote that, quote, "War is a racket," and even sort of Robert McNamara, who came around in the very end. In Vietnam, Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson stopped the My Lai massacre from being even worse. Another candidate is former U.S. Army Specialist Josh Stieber, who sent this message to the people of Iraq, quote, "Our heavy hearts still hold hope that we can restore in history the acknowledgement of your humanity that we were taught to deny." Ponder 1 million Iraqi deaths. Chelsea Manning sits behind bars for exposing those and other truths. The real heroes are those who resist war and militarism, often at great personal cost. Because militarism has been around for such a long time, at least since Gilgamesh came up with his proclamation or protection racket in Samaria, going on 5,000 years ago, people argue that it's always been with us. But many also thought that slavery and the subjugation of women would last forever, but they've been proven to be wrong. We understand that while militarism may not disappear overnight, disappear it must if we are to avoid economic as well as moral bankruptcy. As Civil War General W.T. Sherman said at West Point, quote, "I confess without shame that I am tired and sick of war." We're with you. This year, on November 11th, Veterans for Peace will bring back the original Armistice Day traditions. Join them and let those bells ring out. Reads this article from GilmerMirror.com. I didn't engage in any Armistice Day celebrations, to be completely honest, but I will put it on my calendar for next year. My dad is a veteran. My grandfather is a veteran. And I know that they enjoy the holiday, that they get a kick out of being congratulated by passersby. I don't know that either of them wear any sort of insignia to inspire that sort of congratulations. But I'd like to change the focus, if I can, do my own little part to change the focus away from war worship and towards remembering peace. Armistice Day. The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, the time that guns fell silent on the Western Front, by which time 16 million had died. And that was in World War I, the Great War, the war to end all wars. How's that going? All right, we've got some anti-war news, speaking of. When we come back, this is Peace News.
On LRN.FM, we talk a lot about alternative currencies. Did you know that now you can buy gold, silver, and other precious metals with Bitcoins? LRN.FM has partnered with Amaji Metals to bring you great prices on beautiful .999 fine silver, as well as gold, platinum, and other metals. Check out their selection and pay with Bitcoins or Federal Reserve notes at metal.lrn.fm. That's metal.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie!
Many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
At ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to this very special live Thursday edition of Peace News. It's good to be with you. You know, I forgot to mention this, but I'll take your calls if you make them now. 443-424-8347. That number spells out Hi-Fi Civ Dis. And you can get that number and our Skype address, which is Peace News Now, all at peacenewsnow.com. And if you're really slick, you'll go to peacenewsnow.com. You'll click the link that says Listen Live, Then you'll join others in the chat room while you watch Peace News. You don't just have to listen over at lrn.fm, although that is a great option. And the chat room is built in there as well. But yeah, let's get interactive. That's the best way to keep this also going. Also, I've got plenty of material to read into the audio record of, this is Veterans Day, or it's like Veterans Day week. And there's a lot of important articles that just don't get mainstream attention. Part of my job is to bring that to you and read it into the audio record of Liberty Chronicles that I call LRN.FM here. So, all right, there's a lot going on. Just to give you a taste of what's coming up, gun carry permits in D.C. now legal? Not so much. There's an undercover story by Fox and Friends reporter who went to go get her concealed carry license, and she took some video of that process. It was pretty difficult, and you won't believe maybe you will believe what one of the government people says to her about the Second Amendment. Then a tobacco ban hearing cut short in a Massachusetts town, which is considering banning sales of tobacco. Yeah, like cigarettes and stuff. People are upset about it. And but we return to the more important overarching story, which is end the empire, end the wars. This article, written by John V. Walsh, posted to LouRockwell.com, Israel, a bulwark against world war, the Tar Baby, and China. The major adversaries of the U.S. empire are China, Russia, and Iran. Of the three, China is the greatest threat to U.S. hegemony since its economy has already surpassed that of the U.S. in terms of purchasing power parity, according to the IMF. And military power, in the end, is a function of economic power, as we have known since at least Thucydides. I don't know who that is, but hey, it must be some ancient Greek character. We'll find out more on that. The empire's answer to China's rise is the pivot to East Asia, the grand design of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, with the assistance of their eager Rasputins at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS. The pivot is both military and economic, with Japan and the U.S. military surrogate in the region, and the anchor for the anti-China TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Pact. Now, I realize there's a lot of acronyms, very complicated. The basics is China, Russia, and Iran are the major threats to U.S. hegemony, U.S. power. And Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are both keeping a careful watch on that, looking to expand military operations in East Asia. And, that's a strategy that you would expect from a chess player or someone playing Risk, looking to put their little military goons surrounding their enemy. Doesn't look good. The pivot is both military and economic, it says. So far, the pivot has been a bust. It demands the concentration of U.S. military and economic resources in East Asia, and so far that has not happened at near the level required. The level's high because China's economy is very strong and dynamic, and is stagnant, and because the U.S. has quickened the mutual embrace of China and Russia by engineering an anti-Russian coup in Ukraine. Now, in East Asia, the U.S. and Japan must confront not only China, but also Russia, which now has its own dispute with Japan over the Kuril Islands, a dispute dating from World War II. So if it sounds like this is heating up and getting confusing, that's because it is. There's not one clear enemy like when it used to be the Russia, the USSR, and the US, or just China and the US. Like, there's a lot of different players on this game, on this game map, this Earth. It's not a game, and yeah, this is what it looks like to me to see empires crumbling. Like, I always wondered years ago when I saw the writing on the wall about the US dollar and about these countries overextending themselves in military adventurism overseas. I wondered, what's it going to look like when these empires crumble? Well, you're looking at it. They fight each other. They become not so trustworthy. They're not. The tensions are high. They're not forming some alliances, but it looks like the superpowers, the major superpowers, are all hesitant and distrustful of each other. So why has the U.S. not committed more forces to East Asia since the threat is the greatest there? The answer lies in front of us, out in the open. U.S. forces are committed elsewhere, specifically in the Middle East. And why is that? The principal reason is Israel. Israel's demands keep the U.S. from freeing its forces to confront China more sharply. But in that direction lies the danger of world war. So Israel is a factor keeping the U.S. from getting into a predicament that might lead on to world war. And Israel is able to do this because the Israel lobby is so powerful. Lest this line of thought be misunderstood, we should be clear that the threat from China is not the existence or the prosperity of the U.S., but its global domination. China's rise does not mean that the U.S. need become less prosperous. In fact, it can mean greater prosperity for the U.S. Unfortunately, this kind of win-win situation is unacceptable to the imperial elite, since the termination of the U.S. role as global hegemon would reduce them to denizens of a sleepy little town on the Potomac. That's a great point. You know, the U.S. doesn't want to lose its superpower status. And just because one nation succeeds, like my neighbor goes and gets rich, that doesn't mean I'm any poorer. It just means by comparison, I'm poorer. And so the politicians in the U.S. are saying, hey, we like being the richest country. We like having the most power. And China, they're becoming richer than us. So now they feel like they, as this author puts it, the denizens of a sleepy little town on the Potomac. This would be a win-win for the people of both China and the U.S. We should both become more prosperous. But no, the politicians don't want that. They'd rather punish the world so that they can feel good about themselves. The expression is called chopping your friends' heads off to make yourself feel taller. It's really what the politicians are doing. Instead of a vigorous turn to East Asia, the U.S. has been pursuing a step-by-step strategy of knocking down weaker adversaries before it goes on to the major ones, which actually, to me, sounds like a pretty reasonable strategy. But this strategy has not been going well. Iraq was the first on its list of lesser adversaries to be attacked. Yeah, how's that going? The country still hasn't been pacified, and ISIS has shown that it's not going to happen anytime soon. Oh yeah, then next was Libya. How about that one? Yeah, regime change went smashingly for the empire. Oh yeah, Hillary Clinton. She got to gloat about that one, right? We'll come back. We've got more peace news about the Middle East.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa, hey,
Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait, now, a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, Say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better, no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Free Talk Live.
When a deer approaches a marijuana plant in the woods and nibbles off one of the buds, is that sad? Is that deer living a sad state of existence?
I have no idea. I've never heard of an animal eating something that would
Christy,
make them,
that's because you have
mind
no idea what you're talking about. You don't know one thing about cannabis. You don't know anything about it.
I understand that you want to partake of that drug.
Oh,
and
I do. Trust me.
Listen, I understand that you should have the right to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Where it's legal. Where it's legal.
Since the beginning of time, human beings and other animals have been altering their state of consciousness. Believe it or not, it's not just a human being thing.
Robins eat elderberries in the fall and get drunk on them.
Yes, so this is a common thing amongst the various different creatures of this earth.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Yeah, welcome back to Peace News. In the last segment, we mentioned a man's name, Thucydides. Thucydides? I'm not entirely sure. If you know how to pronounce it, go ahead and correct me, but he's Greek. I was right. And he was born sometime around 400 BC, and he covered, as a historian, the Peloponnesian Wars, the wars between Athens and Peloponnesia. And, that's important because not only did he document what happened, the different killings between Sparta and Athens in the year 411 BC, but he's dubbed the father of scientific history because he references cause and effect without any reference to intervention by the gods. And this is important as a historian because this tradition continues today. He is called the father of the school of political realism, which views the relations between nations as based on might rather than right. His text is still studied in advanced military colleges worldwide, and the Melian Dialogue remains a seminal work of the international relations theory. Well, isn't that Wikipedia? Thank you, information age. It's good to be informed. So now we're a little bit wiser. Let's return to this article from LouRockwell.com. End the Empire, End the Wars. And the author here is going over, John V. Walsh, going over the recent successes of U.S. military adventurism overseas. Remember that first success, Iraq? Yeah, within 3, things are going just great there in 2014. And then there was Syria and Libya. And what else have we got on this list? I've sort of lost my place in this article. Oh, yes. No-fly zones over Libya. But eventually, the bombing campaign brought Gaddafi down. Russian President Putin has called that the last straw. Russia gave the go-ahead to a no-fly zone for reasons, but then was betrayed when the U.S. turned it into a bombing campaign. Russia and China are unlikely to trust U.S. calls for humanitarian action again. Syria was to be the next step, but the anti-Assad campaign has not succeeded, although it wrought untold devastation on that country. Iran looms as the next target if the step-by-step approach is to be followed, and then Russia. Clearly, neither Russia nor Iran will be brought down by sanctions alone. And so Israel is clamoring for war on Iran. And with each day, China grows stronger and less vulnerable. Time is not on the side of this approach. The U.S. policy in the Middle East is a spectacular success for Israel, even though it is disastrous for the U.S. Ambitions as unchallenged global hegemon. Israel's adversaries, Iraq, Syria, and Libya, lie in ruins, and the hatred in the Muslim world that has arisen from these ashes is directed at the U.S. Ever unsatisfied, Israel is now pushing ever harder for regime change or destruction of Iran, its last major adversary, a push that will not be relaxed with a nuclear accord with the P5+1, if that indeed occurs. I have no idea what the P5+1 is. This push is sure to increase after the midterm U.S. elections, which saw more hawks enter the Congress. In summary, for the sake of its ambitions to be unchallenged as a global hegemon, the U.S. empire should abandon its step-by-step approach in the Middle East and get on with the pivot. However, Israel, with its enormous influence over U.S. foreign policy, most especially Middle Eastern policy, will not permit such a shift in priorities. That is the reality. That is the central contradiction between imperial U.S. policy in the Middle East and the U.S. imperial policy in the world. That said, we must recognize the criminality of the situation and the barbaric nature of Israel's designs. The people of the Middle East are absorbing enormous blows from the U.S. economic and military machine in the form of wars and economic sanctions. More suffering will follow. Is it any surprise that the likes of ISIS have arisen? What significance is this for anti-interventionalists in the U.S.? These considerations suggest that the days of the U.S. empire as world hegemon are numbered, because it cannot pull free of the Middle East tar baby, and because its relative economic strength is also in decline. So we anti-interventionists have not worked and do not work in vain. Finally, we anti-interventionists have a moral obligation to the peoples of the Middle East. Hence, we must keep fighting for the rights of the Palestinian people and the end of the American imperium. From the Middle East to the Far East, our goal is the same. End the empire. End the wars. Excellent article by John V. Walsh. You can find more of him at LouRockwell.com. But I want to turn quickly, since we don't have much time left. I don't want to take all day on the Armistice Day, Veterans Day stuff, but another terrific article at LouRockwell.com coming from Veterans Day. Author Lawrence Vance writes, "Worship the Veterans Day. Veterans Day is misnamed. It was originally termed Armistice Day, as we just found out, a day to commemorate the signing of the armistice on the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month that ended the fighting on the Western Front in World War I. Quote, the war to end all wars. After World War II, Armistice Day was changed to Veterans Day as a tribute to all U.S. soldiers who fought for the government in some unnecessary foreign conflict. But that's not why it is misnamed. Although we have in this country many days that have been set aside to honor the military, Army Day, Marine Corps Day, Navy Day, Air Force Day, Coast Guard Day, Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day, and Armed Forces Day, there are also 3 official military appreciation days Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Veterans Day. That used to be known as holidays. There's also a National Military Appreciation Month, which is May, and Military Family Month, which is November. Although sometimes it seems like every month is National Military Appreciation Month or Military Family Month. And then there are special military appreciation days, like the annual Salute to the Military that was held in Biloxi, Mississippi last month, and the Academy of Country Music's An All-Star Salute to the Troops concert held in Las Vegas earlier this year. Of the government's official military appreciations days, Veterans Day is the worst. Veterans Day has now become a day to honor not just those who have served in the military during wartime, but those who served during peacetime or are serving now. Veterans Day has become a day to recognize all things military. Veterans Day is now wholly given over to praising soldiers, flattering veterans, repeating ridiculous slogans and poems about the military, and heaping glory, loud, and honor ad nauseum on the troops. Public schools have Veterans Day programs. Many cities have Veterans Day parades. Many restaurants offer veterans or active duty military personnel special discounts or free meals on Veterans Day. And although Americans recite their "thank you for your service" mantra thousands of times each and every day, this reaches a climax on Veterans Day. I hope you're changing the culture by changing where you use that expression, "thank you for your service," when you get a cup of coffee or when you buy the morning paper. Thank you. You listening. Thank you for your service.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson. Attention men who've taken Androgel or any other testosterone therapy products. Androgel or other low-T products have been linked to heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, even death. Scientific studies indicate that the use of testosterone therapy products may double a man's risk of heart attack. If you or a loved one took Androgel or a testosterone therapy product and suffered from a heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, or any other cardiac event, you might be entitled to financial compensation. You have rights, and you need to let us fight for your rights. And you pay no fees unless we win. So call the tort attorneys right now. 800-708-7917. 800-708-7917. 800-708-7917. 800-708-7917. Cases may be referred to participating law firms in your jurisdiction.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronic, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network via shop.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin? Any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom. It is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
And welcome back. Yeah, this is Peace News. Yep, it's Thursday, but we're live. We're doing it. We'll take your calls. 443-424-8347. That number spells out Hi-Fi Civ Dis, as in civil disobedience. Yeah, man. Well, hey, we've got a story about civil disobedience. That's coming up. The founder or architect of the Liberty Dollar is to be sentenced in 1 week. Bernard von Nothaus, that story from coinweek.com. But first, we finish an article from LewRockwell.com where, what's his name? Vince Vance writes about Veterans Day and why it's the worst. He says it's now become a day to honor veterans, honor anyone who was in the military, and just heap undeserved worship upon them. He says churches have gotten into the act as well. Although it's bad enough to have the misfortune of attending a patriotic service on the Sunday before Memorial Day or the 4th of July, the Sunday before Veterans Day in many evangelical churches is wholly given over to the military blasphemy and idolatry. Veterans are encouraged to wear their uniforms to church. Veterans are recognized during the Sunday morning service, sometimes with thunderous applause. Is that any way to greet a murderer? The names of all the church's veterans are printed in the church bulletin. The church sign has the scripture on it, replaced with something about the military. More prayers than usual are offered for the troops. If you're lucky, or cursed, depending on how you look at it, a military color guard marching down the main aisle will open the service. A video tribute to the troops will be shown. The pianist will play the song of each branch of the military during the offering, and a military chaplain will be the guest speaker. A local Christian school in my town is advertising their special Veterans Day program. The flyer says, quote, to invite a veteran or military person to attend, as we would, quote, love to honor them at our program. And if you have a relative currently serving on active duty, please send the name and address so that we can send them a letter of thanks. Ugh, this is disgusting. What ego stroking. A quote, special tribute to all veterans and military will be given at the program. Ugh. It's our special privilege to honor veterans and those currently serving because their courage, love of country, and devotion keeps America both strong and proud. In view of all the love, devotion, thankfulness, adoration, affection, fondness, esteem, appreciation, recognition, admiration, glory, laud, and honor directed towards veterans on Veterans Day, it's clear that the holiday is misnamed. It should really be called Worship the Veterans Day. I have no doubt that people would said this in a speech at Veterans Day. We honor you, O veterans. You are our heroes. We idolize you. Thank you for your service. You are role models for our children. Without you, we would all be speaking German, Japanese, Korean, or Vietnamese. And thank you for winning the Cold War so that we didn't have to learn Russian. We wish your pensions were higher. We hope that the VA hospitals will take better care of you. We think you deserve the finest artificial limbs that money can buy. We think that you have earned the right to the best mental health and substance abuse treatments available. Thank you for fighting for our freedoms. Thank you for defending the United States by fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. We wish all businesses would give you discounts and special employment opportunities. We wish all restaurants would give you free meals. Thank you for policing the world so that we can sleep safely at night. We encourage you to become police officers so you can utilize the skills you've learned in the military as you protect and serve us. Thank you for fighting over there so we don't have to fight over here. Although many veterans willingly accept such worship on Veterans Day, I suspect that many more do not. I do know that I've received hundreds of emails from veterans, including those who fought in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, who are saddened, embarrassed, regretful, or ashamed of their service, and cringe when they are thanked for it, when people find out that they are veterans. What we need are more veterans to say, enough is enough. Stop the idolatry. My vitriol is not directed toward veterans. Although I don't appreciate them bombing, invading, or occupying other countries, killing and maiming the latest enemy of the U.S. government, making widows and orphans, and fighting foreign wars in defense of my freedoms, I don't see a lot of veterans demanding that they be thanked, praised, appreciated more, or worshipped. My hate speech is directed towards those chicken hawks, armchair warriors, right-wing nationalists, red state fascists, religious rightists, bloodthirsty conservatives, theocons, war evangelicals, God and country bumpkins, values voters, American exceptionalists, and pro-lifers for mass murder who worship veterans. The article is at LouRockwell.com. We conclude with an article that should introduce what Smedley Butler taught us best, that war is a racket. And this is part 2 of a 2-part series which first appeared at the Burning Platform, now appears at LouRockwell.com. Headline, Bread, Circuses, and Bombs. The Decline of the American Empire. In part 1, the author discussed the similarities between the Roman Empire and the American Empire. In this article, he explains that all empires decline due to the same human failings, and the U.S. is no exception. If anything, the U.S. will be far more spectacular and rapid due to the extreme level of hubris, arrogance, willful ignorance, and warlike preference for dealing with foreign powers. The author writes, it seems there were a few visionary thinkers in the late 1950s who foresaw the dire course of their writings were a prophecy and a warning. There was still time to change course and avoid the pitfalls that led to the Roman Empire collapse. In Brave New World Revisited, Aldous Huxley warned against allowing a few amoral men using propaganda, scientific advancements, technology, brainwashing, and economics to control and manipulate a willfully ignorant populace into a dystopian dictatorship. The Soviet and Chinese dictatorships of the late 1950s are long gone, but Huxley foresaw how modern propaganda techniques could be used by the state to drown the masses in a sea of triviality, irrelevance, and consumerism. Quote, in their propaganda, today's dictators rely, for the most part, on repetition, suppression, and rationalization. The repetition of catchwords, which they wish to be accepted as true. The suppression of facts, which they wish to be ignored. The arousal and rationalization of passions, which may be used in the interests of the party. Or the state. This is Peace News.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in a left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's post pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie at freetalklive.com.
Aren't you tired of murdering people around the world? Well, stop using their money. There's an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government, and by using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
More Peace News Now is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Thursday, November 13th, 2014. Gold is trading around $1,168, silver around $15.66, and Bitcoin around $450. Today's metal price is brought to you by Midas Resources Incorporated. helping clients convert their paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver. Get their 10 Reasons book free by calling 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237. This edition of Liberty Beat, Foods Direct, redefining the way you think about storable food. eFoods Direct is offering 10% off. Just go to efood.com/LibertyBeat or call 800-620-5520 and mention Liberty Beat. In the news, top St. Louis city and county officials are urging residents. Jury decision in the Michael Brown case is announced. County Executive Charlie Dooley and St. Louis Mayor Francis Slay said at a joint news conference Wednesday that while protesters' civil rights will be respected, looting and violence will not be tolerated, and regional race relations has been made in the 3 months since Brown, who was black, was shot by Ferguson police officer. According to the jury, weighing whether to charge Wilson, it's expected to make a decision beginning next year. Boulder County, Colorado will charge change. The county will begin charging $2.16 per kilowatt hour for electricity used to grow the newly legal plant, average about $100 per kilogram of the final plant. Local officials have said the growers use more electricity than any other industry. On Wednesday, the Fix the Court campaign was launched to spread awareness on a lack of accountability in the United States. Advertising campaign launched fixthecourt.com as well as ads on Fox and MSNBC, calling for annuals filed online, advance notice of justices' public appearances, and more access for media and the public. It also wants justices to explain the reasoning behind recusing themselves from cases. The Liberty Bee Bud. Detoxifying to an affordable 150 application jar at mymagicmud.com. Support also comes from the Conscious video news reports and articles from a spiritual. Experience the conscious resistance at the Conscious Resistance, November 13th, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. Facebook at facebook.com. A real has begun using unmanned aerial vehicles or drones for commercial real estate photography. Allison Echeverry says she would not be able to sell her equestrian farm. Pilots are operating in a legal gray area currently by flying below 400 feet in farmland areas around Houston. The Federal Aviation Administration is in the process of creating new regulations of drone aircraft. Veteran Michael Wynn has transitioned from a Gulf War soldier to an ordained Zen monk, promoting the benefits of mindfulness for veterans. Wynn told the of rage before he wound up at the Plum Village Mindfulness Practice Center. Be a monk. Wynn has been practicing and teaching mindfulness for the past 12 years. He now teaches veterans how to practice mindfulness and meditation to cope with the symptoms. The Liberty Bee. As Gunworks, your online source for firearms, firearm accessories. They take major credit cards and now accept Bitcoin. Visit them online at shop.centraltexasgunworks. Want to reach tens of thousands of like-minded listeners every day with your messenger product? Well, the Liberty Beat is looking for sponsors for their daily news service. Support this grassroots media project while expanding your read market. Is the Liberty Beat for Thursday, November 13th, 2014. I'm Brian Hagan reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A new medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll never stop feeling like this.
Everyone can smell the marijuana on your breath and on your clothes. Everyone is laughing at you.
Additionally, the in-depth report reveals that despite trying to act cool, you're definitely laughing too much and everyone is messing with you.
Your parents know you're high. Your friends know you're high. Strangers on the street know you're high. If you're young and you smoke marijuana, you will probably never be able to find a job. And if you're an adult, you will most likely be fired. If you hear a noise, that's probably the police, and you're probably going to jail.
Well, previous studies suggested that it's all good and that we're all made of the same stuff that makes stars. New research indicates that your brain got broken and you shouldn't have done this. Doctors say the study raises important questions such as, what if that wasn't just marijuana, and how are you going to get home?
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back. It's the second hour of Peace News. We're live this Thursday. Ooh, that feels good to say. Yep. Thursday, 10 to midnight Eastern. Podcast from Keene in the Shire. Learn more about Keene, freekeene.com, freestateproject.org, and learn more about me at derekj.me. We've also got a website with a cam built into the webpage and a chat room where you can interact with other listeners. You can also Skype me at Peace News Now, or call in 443-424-8347, peacenewsnow.com/live to get the rest. Still coming up, Bernard von Nothaus, architect of the Liberty Dollar, to be sentenced this week. Plus, Happy Veterans Day. A veteran arrested and sentenced for playing banjo in the wrong place. That story. And cop back on the job after squeezing a teen's testicles so hard during a stop and frisk it required surgery. But first, let's finish up this story from LouRockwell.com, where this author is explaining some of the similarities between the Roman Empire's collapse and the modern American Empire's collapse. He explains that in a quote from Brave New World Revisited, Aldous Huxley warned thusly, as the art and science of manipulation come to be better understood, the dictators of the future will doubtless learn to combine these techniques with the non-stop distractions which, in the West, are now threatening to drown in a sea of irrelevance the rational propaganda and essential to the maintenance of individual liberty and the survival of democratic institutions. Another man of vision was President Dwight D. Eisenhower, as someone who understood the military-industrial complex and the world of politics and power. He knew the danger of allowing the arms industry to dictate the foreign policy of the country. Maintaining a military empire bankrupted Rome, and it is bankrupting the American empire. Eisenhower's warning was unheeded. Quote, we have impelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in defense establishment. We annually spend on military security more than the net income of all United States corporations. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. The prospect of domination of the nation's scholars by federal employment, project allocations, and the power of money is ever present and is gravely to be regarded. When I was researching the similarities between the fall of the Roman Empire and our American Empire, Fall in Progress, I stumbled across an essay written in 1956 by Ben Moriel called Of Bread and Circuses. Toxic bread, eye gadgets, circuses, and Zoloft. Quote, the evil was not in bread and circuses per se, but in the willingness of the people to sell their rights as free men for full bellies, and the excitement of the games which would serve to distract them from the other human hungers which bread and circuses can never appease. The moral decay of the people was not caused by the doles and the games. These merely provided a measure of their degradation. Things that were originally good had become perverted, and, as Shakespeare reminds us, lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. There is nothing inherently evil about food, iPhones, professional sports, television, computers, music, or medicine. Human beings need food to sustain them, entertainment to provide relaxation and diversion from their daily labors, and medicine to alleviate illness and prolong their lives. Only when people allow themselves to be lured into servitude by malevolent purveyors of bread and circuses does the perversion of seemingly harmless things begin to fester and overwhelm a nation with the fetid stench of decay and decadence. The moral degeneration of the American populace, like the Roman people before them, happened slowly over time as they sold their liberty, freedom, and self-respect for full bellies, an endless array of modern-day distractions, and promises from their highly educated rulers they would be taken care of and protected from all threats to their well-being, whether foreign, domestic, physical, mental, or social. It did not happen all at once. It happened gradually over time. We allowed the weaker facets of our human nature to succumb to the pleasurable promises of a minority of power, seeking manipulative men who always attempt to control and influence the majority because they believe they are wiser and deserving of riches, glory, and supremacy. The greediest, most arrogant, ambitious, and well-educated amongst us tend to rise to the top in all societies. As Ben Franklin stated, only a virtuous people can keep sociopaths from gaining control of our political, economic, and financial systems, and perverting a republic built upon a foundation of free markets, liberty, and self-sufficiency. I believe the quote from Benjamin Franklin reads, quote, "Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become more corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters." Prophetic words from Benjamin Franklin. Indeed. We should conclude with a quick blurb about Smedley Butler. I don't know. He deserves a little more time than this, but I can see we're going to run up against the break. Smedley Butler was a U.S. Marine Corps Major General, highest ranked authorized at the time. And the time of his death, he was the most decorated Marine in U.S. history. During his 34-year career, he participated in military actions in the Philippines, China, Central America, and the Caribbean. But you know what he said? War is a racket.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
Well, today was an historic occasion in Pennington.
That's right, Diane. The entire town turned out to honor Paul Webster, the area's one gay man with Pennington's first ever Gay Pride Parade. Paul, a 33-year-old hardware store owner, was too shy to ask for a parade, but that didn't stop almost 2,000 residents from showing their support for his homosexuality. Mayor Sue Hallinan organized the parade and even chipped in some of her own money to pay for decorations.
Well, I was channel surfing one day and I came across a program about the Gay Pride. Next time I went to the hardware store, I said, Paul, we're going to throw you a parade. And he just said, oh, please don't do that. I don't want that. I beg you. He just didn't want us to go to the trouble.
He doesn't want to ride on the penis float. He gets motion sickness, so we're going to have him hold the reins instead. And Penningtonians have already decided on a fairy tale theme for next year's parade.
Oh, that'll be great.
And if Paul has a boyfriend, they can both be dressed up as kings.
Terrific idea.
This is the Onion News Network.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Shiny badges on your jacket. Shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation. And there's plenty of political, from demonstrations and volunteering. There's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Welcome back. Hey, we're talking about P news, some stories from the Middle East. General Smedley Butler, war is on day news. Enough of the veteran stuff, blah blah. We talk about that stuff on Peace News a lot. You know, oh, gotta end the wars, gotta end the empire. Y'all get that. So let's get into the real news. Bernard von Nothaus, you know him. He's the architect of the Liberty Dollar, to be sentenced. Liberty Dollar creator and self-proclaimed monetary architect Bernard von Nothaus, who was found guilty in U.S. federal court in North Carolina on March 2011 of counterfeiting and fraud, is scheduled to appear on December 2nd before U.S. District Court Judge Richard L. Voorhees. The now 70-year-old von Nothaus has been awaiting sentencing for over 3.5 years. The Justice Department asserted that von Nothaus was placing gold, silver, and silver coins, currency, into circulation with the purpose of mixing them, quote, into the current money of the United States. In short, the government accused von Nothaus of counterfeiting. Von Nothaus did appeal his conviction, stating, quote, if anything is clear from the evidence presented, it is that the last thing Mr. von Nothaus wanted was for Liberty dollars to be confused with coins issued by the United States government. His intention to protest the Federal Reserve System has always been plain. The jury's verdict conflates a program created to function as an alternative to the Federal Reserve System with one designed to deceive people into believing it was the very thing Mr. von Nothaus was protesting in the first place. The Liberty Dollar was not a counterfeit and was not intended to function as such. The verdict is a perversion of the counterfeiting statutes and should be set aside. Well, got some bad news. Judge Voorhees rejected von Nothaus's appeal. Mr. von Nothaus developed the Liberty Dollar in 1998 as an inflation-proof alternative currency to the U.S. dollar, which he has claimed has devalued since the Federal Reserve established in 1913. The silver and gold coins were produced by the Sunshine Mint in Idaho on behalf of the Evansville, Illinois-based Liberty Services, which also issued paper notes, which the group says are backed by their silver reserves. In November of 2007, federal officials raided the group's headquarters located in a strip mall and seized all documents and the gold and silver that backed up the paper certificates and digital currency being distributed through the Liberty Services website. In addition to all coins, bullion, and even the dies used to strike the Liberty Dollar coins held in the vault of the Sunshine Mint has also been confiscated. There's a brief video interview, which we don't have time for at the moment, but you can find it at coinweek.com or by searching "The End of Money." The following was the full statement issued by the U.S. Attorney's Office after the guilty verdict was announced. Quote, Bernard von Nothaus was convicted by a federal jury of making, possessing, and selling his own coins following an 8-day trial and less than 2 hours of deliberation. Von Nothaus, the founder and monetary architect of a currency known as the Liberty Dollar, was found guilty by a jury in Statesville, North Carolina, of making coins resembling and similar to United States coins, of issuing, passing, selling, and passing Liberty Dollar coins, of issuing and passing Liberty Dollar coins intended for use as current money, and of conspiracy against the United States. The guilty verdict concluded an investigation which began in 2005 and involved the minting of Liberty Dollar coins with a current value of approximately $7 million. Joining the U.S. Attorney's agent in charge of the FBI, blah, 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 a bunch of lists of people who went and attacked this man, put him in a cage, charged him with a crime. But it is no crime to produce an alternative to a fiat system. It's no crime to offer people metal, a value for value exchange, a representation of a piece of paper. You see, the real problem is the FBI, the Federal Reserve, these organizations are aware of how precarious their power is. They know that their power depends on you believing in their authority. The promises of dollar are literally and figuratively paper thin. And so, of course, a man like Bernard von Nothaus offers an alternative to the world, a peaceful alternative. People can exchange their fiat dollars for these valuable metal tokens. A precious metal, limited, not like those dollars the government can print. This is why it's so important that Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, remain anonymous, because the government will punish him for creating an alternative to their system. Cop back on the job after squeezing teen's testicles so hard during a stop and frisk it required surgery. This from my home city of Philadelphia. I got to speak with Darren Manning, the young man who suffered at the hands of police. After this incident took place, I participated in a protest at 15th and Girard Avenue where the incident took place. The article at countercurrentnews.com reads, the Philadelphia police officer who squeezed a teenage boy's testicle so hard that it required emergency surgery is back on the job after the controversial stop and frisk search that enraged a nation. Darren Manning, age 16, was on his way to a school basketball game with his classmates when he was stopped by police. You can guess what happened next. We've got the full story and video, which I don't know if it's ever been released before. Video, which you can only see at Peace News.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study. Entire bill. I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questions and write it. I didn't approve it. I wasn't even consulted. If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through LRN.FM. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to who were towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
We're cruising right along here at Peace News. Welcome back. Still to come, upstate New York couple fined $13,000 for refusing to host a lesbian wedding? Yep, another one of those stories that the gay agenda folks, those gays who won all the gay marriage, they promised this wouldn't happen. They were like, no, we just want gay marriage. We promise it'll be fine. We're not going to force any people to marry us. Oh, but then they did. You get the ring of power, and the gun of the state is uncontrollable. It's out of your hands. Seems like it takes over, has a mind of its own. And these gay agenda people, even though they might have had the best of intentions, are now losing it. I mean, you can't find people, well, whatever. We'll get into that story when we get to it. But here, let's finish up the story about Darren Manning, young man, age 16, who had one of his testicles crushed by a Philadelphia police officer, yet unnamed. I don't know that this police officer was ever outed, but we are aware that this officer is now back on the job. Because what could be so wrong about crushing a teen's testicles so hard during a stop and for required surgery? I mean, it's just all part of the job, right? Just following orders. Well, maybe not. We've got the video. We'll play it for you. It's not too much you can see, but here's the backstory. The officers claim that the teens were wearing ski masks. Now, that in itself is a violent crime worthy of locking them up. But let's ignore that for a moment and presume that they're doing nothing wrong. Now, their school principal at Mathematics, Civics, and Science Charter School clarified that these were in fact scarves that she had given them when they left school in order to keep warm on the cold January afternoon. The Philadelphia department eventually released the 1 hour and 5-minute long video taken by surveillance cameras near 15th Street and Girard Avenue earlier this year after news of the high school students' injuries went viral throughout social media. In the video below, you can see a teenage male pinned to the ground at about 13 minutes and 20 seconds, but in spite of the length of the video, it doesn't show all of the arrest. I'll share that video with you now. Now, it doesn't have any audio, so I'll continue to read the article as it plays in the background. But as you can see, this is already past the 15-minute mark. I'll rewind so that you're able to see poor Darren Manning, or who I believe to be Darren, being pinned to the ground by these thugs in black uniforms. Here's Girard, and there's 15th Street. There's a KFC that's at the corner where this video camera is streaming from. And you can see that the police have parked the wrong way down a one-way street, and an oncoming car is advancing towards it, realizing that it has now nowhere to go. And another officer arrives at the scene, going up also the wrong way down a one-way road. But hey, they're police. They can do whatever the hell they want, right? All for your safety. Because going the wrong way down a one-way road at 30 miles an hour on a city street is for your safety, right? So here you can see that the events have escalated. Darren is still on the ground, the police on top of him. And allegedly, here's a woman now approaching him. Now, she's the one who allegedly is the one who crushed his testicles. It was found out in one of these articles that it was a woman. And she's the only woman I can see in the video. Now, you see, she's third to the scene. So he's already been tackled by one guy. Oh, and here comes another officer. This time in an SUV, also going the wrong way down a one-way road. So while that video plays on, let's continue from the article. The stop and frisk took place on January 7th of this year. That's when Manning had his genitals squeezed so hard by a female police officer that it was initially believed his left testicle was ruptured. After emergency surgery, it was discovered that his testicle had not ruptured, but it was severely injured, and that there was life-threatening blood clots that had formed from the injury. Now, the unidentified officer who assaulted Manning is back on the job. And the Philadelphia Police Department was hoping the public wouldn't pay much attention to it. For months, the officer, who the Philadelphia police worked hard to conceal the identity of, was put on desk duty pending a review of the incident. Following that investigation, we, countercurrentnews.com, contacted the Philadelphia Police Department asking if she had been placed back on regular duty and repeatedly requesting the officer's name. The Philadelphia Police Department has continued to refuse our requests for the officer's identity, but after several initial statements that she had not been returned to regular duty, this week they confirmed this much, while still avoiding naming the female officer. The initial police investigation came to an end shortly after an investigating grand jury claimed there was no evidence that the officer seriously injured Manning's genitals, District Attorney Seth Williams said. Police Commissioner Charles H. Ramsey's into the incident based their findings on the decision of the grand jury, which claimed over the summer that after reviewing countless hours of evidence, surveillance video, and witness statements, they found that police had acted responsibly and that no criminal act was committed by any members of the police. But Manning's attorney, Louis Small, said there was no legal justification for the stop in the first place. There's no question In my mind, he explains, that he was improperly stopped, he was improperly charged, and he was injured by their conduct. Now, the officer involved is back on the job, and the Philadelphia Police Department is still not releasing her identity, citing that she was exonerated by the investigation. Manning was charged with resisting arrest, simple assault, and related offenses, but they were all eventually dropped, aside from the resisting charge, which stemmed from the fact that the stop was illegal right from the start. Furthermore, Manning explains that as resisting was in fact his reaction to being physically and sexually assaulted by the officer. The grand jury noted that there is no police department directive that would prohibit female officers from conducting searches of, quote, male suspects. The grand jury said Manning's resistance to being stopped and frisked when he had committed no crime was, quote, understandable. But since he physically resisted the officer, they believed the officer was well within her rights to do what she did. If you disagree with this decision and believe that Darren Manning deserves justice, then help us spread the word. Share the article at countercurrentnews.com. I'll have the link to the video at peacenewsnow.com. Tragic that such a thing could happen to an honor student. Missing from this story at countercurrentnews.com is a small detail that I think isn't so insignificant. The two other teenage boys who accompanied Manning to his basketball game ran from police. They weren't charged with any crimes. They were never caught. And hence, they were never injured. Is it the right thing to do? I'll leave you to answer that for yourself. This is Peace News.
I love my Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Did you news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. Free. So sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Majid lives in Nor Devin, Armenia with his wife, kids, and grandkids, all in the same house. They have cows, but to compete against the big ranchers, Majid needed to get a loan for more cattle. Free Talk Live helped him get a loan for the cows. He bought them, and now he's very happy with the expansion of his farm. You can help us help more people by getting your coffee through coffee.freetalklive.com. Make a difference, 1 cup at a time. Get a free pound to try out the subscription. Cancel at any time. Coffee.freetalklive.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say because, and avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
All right, everybody, let's bring this one final segment of the show this evening. Thanks for staying with us. I really appreciate it. And if you've been listening this long, why don't you kick a little bit of Bitcoin donation my way? You could do that through peacenewsnow.com/donate, derekj.me/donate, and through the QR code on your screen. I think those are the easy ways to do it. Just go to my website, derekj.me. I've got all kinds of stuff. I do Cop Block Radio. I do Bitcoin Talk Show. I write articles about love. I wrote one about how it's pretty funny, Forever Alone meme of the character staring out and crying, and it's got the text above forever alone. I think we've all been there. We've all felt that way. That's why the meme is funny. But there was a video of a dating tape from the 80s. Which living does. You could make it about liberty. But for things having to do with Keen, Cop Block, Freedom, Bitcoin, the whole gamut over at derekj.me. Just a quick little plug. And if you haven't done so already, go watch my documentary, Victimless Crime Spree. It's free online at victimlesscrimespree.com. I want to make it's about time to make another movie. What about Robin Hooding? Robin Hooding's a big deal, right? Tell me what you think about that. All right. So we don't have much time. Why am I talking about this stuff when we've got two stories that I want to cram in here to this last segment? First up, this is too important to pass. A couple in upstate New York is being fined $13,000 for refusing to host a same-sex wedding on their farm. Robert and Cynthia Gifford have lived at Liberty Ridge Farm in upstate New York for 25 years. For the past 15 years, according to the New York Post, they've opened up their farm to parties, weddings, wedding receptions, and an annual fall festival featuring pig races in a corn maze. The couple's troubles began in 2012 with a brief phone call from a couple wanting to get married. Melissa Irwin, now Melissa McCarthy, called Liberty Ridge to ask about their booking a same-sex wedding at their venue. Cynthia Gifford told Melissa, politely, she says, that the couple would have to look elsewhere for their wedding. And took it to Marika Hiroshi of the New York Civil Liberties Union. Oh, man. God damn it. I used to work for the ACLU, so it's an extra twist of the knife when I hear stories like, oh, the Civil Liberties Union of New York is defending some anti-freedom measure to come force government violent. All right, here's the thing. Quote, they were devastated when they heard that Liberty Ridge Farm would not take their business because of who they are. LU supports religious freedom. That still doesn't make it okay for businesses to break existing law prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, race, disability, religion, or other protected categories. Well, God damn it, NYCLU. Just because it's the law doesn't mean it's right. And people should have the freedom to discriminate. That's what freedom's about. You know, if Melissa and her new husband, wife, owned a business and a bunch of big started calling them faggots, wouldn't they want to say, you can get the hell out? We're not going to serve you a damn thing. They would want the power to discriminate. Oh, but oh no, you can't discriminate against us. We're a protected class. We've got government rights, you see, and that means the government is going to strong arm your business. We want to get married there. Who cares if you don't want to marry us? We're going to force you to. Melissa and her partner, Jenny McCarthy, sued. And New York judge eventually ordered the Giffords, who are devoutly Catholic, to pay $13,000 in fines. Oh, yeah, that money, it's all going, right? Is going to the state. And $1,500 each goes to Melissa and Jenny for their, quote, mental anguish. The Giffords, for their part, are steadfastly denying that they are homophobic. Well, I don't care. They can be homophobic. Maybe they are. They should have every right to be homophobic. According to them, quote, we respect and care for everyone. We had an openly gay man working for us this past season. We've had a woman who's transitioned to be a man. We don't discriminate against anyone. The couple claim that the negative publicity generated by them has cost them so much business that they had to let some of their help go. And once the weddings that are currently scheduled have been held, the couple will no longer host weddings, same sex or otherwise, at their farm. The couple's lawyer, James Traynor, says that his case sets the stage for other businesses being compelled to choose between honoring their religious principles or complying with the law. Yeah, essentially, these people who are offering a service to their friends and neighbors, their community, are being told, no, you can't, by the government, because they don't do it in a way that the government people like. We've gone from tolerance to compulsion. State government should not be forcing people to violate their own religious beliefs, nor should they be forced to make a choice between living and violating their own faith. As gay rights became more prominent and more accepted, the aim is to butt up against the rights of gays. In October, a devoutly was ordered to attend, refusing to print shirts for a gay pride event, according to this Inquisitor report. Do you believe the Giffords should have been fined for refusing to host a same-sex wedding? That's the question posed by Aaron Homer, the author of this article at Inquisitor.com. We conclude with an article from thefreethoughtproject.com. Headline, cops stand up to department corruption, tired of being forced to make arrests and write tickets. Illinois cops are standing up to their own department, saying forcing quotas requires them to make arrests without probable cause. There's a meme attached to this article reading, sorry, sir, we're only arresting 2 arrests per month. This story from Normal, Illinois. A group of police officers filed a lawsuit against the town of Normal last week, alleging the police department is forcing them to write a certain number of tickets or face disciplinary action. Patrol officers Brian Larimore, Debrick Weir, and Todd Van Hoven were tired of being forced to collect a minimum amount of revenue each month or face disciplinary consequences. They claim the department is abusing its power and have filed a 27-page lawsuit detailing these allegations. The lawsuit states that each officer had to write at least one traffic ticket each day. They also had to write 4 ordinance violation tickets per month and make 1 DUI arrest each month. More than just traffic citations, the lawsuit details the requirements to make at least 2 criminal arrests per month. That means these officers were forced to create criminals out of otherwise innocent people, or they would face disciplinary action. The lawsuit goes on to say that day shift patrol officers have no concrete requirements when it comes to criminal arrests or DUI arrests. Those day shift officers are allegedly told to have a minimum number of traffic arrests and violation arrests. According to WMBD, Larimore, Weir, and Van Hoven all cited separate incidents where they were disciplined for failing to meet the required number of arrests. The claims date back to 2010. Deborah Weir said she was even suspended for a day without pay for falling short of her alleged quota. The group of officers are claiming that these requirements encourage them to make arrests without probable cause. By refusing to make the arrest and therefore being disciplined, the lawsuit claims Normal Police Department is in violation of the Whistleblower Act. While city officials haven't made a comment in response to the lawsuit yet, WMBD did contact Chief Rick Blacher, who denied there being a quota system in place, but did say that they have expectations for their employees. This is hardly an isolated incident. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back on Tuesday to bring you more Peace News. You can join in, take control, and join us in the meantime at peacenewsnow.com and check out my website, derekj.me. Peace.